Stick with me as we talk about how to stay safe during freezing weather. There's a couple different places you have to worry about frostbite in the extreme cold weather. Mainly it's your fingers and toes, your ears, and your nose. So we're going to concentrate on protecting those. Now I grew up in Northern Virginia, so I know some snow. The Potomac used to get kind of hammered, but it wasn't until I moved to New Hampshire that I had to deal with extreme cold, and it's kind of a different animal. Now some of these things I'm going to talk about. If you're from like a border state, you probably already know this, or if you're from Canada, our friends from the Great White North probably do a lot of this stuff. But if you're like me, where you're transplanted from the south to the north, you don't really know this stuff. So I'm going to go over some basics, and we're going to talk about a couple tricks I learned over the years. One of the first things we're going to do is talk about socks. Now I've got cotton socks on, and cotton's pretty good because it's very warm, but once it gets wet it really changes temperature and the cotton soaks up the water. Now you have the other end of the spectrum, which are wool socks. And wool socks aren't as warm, but they're pretty good at repelling water. They can get damp and stay warm still. So what you want to do is combine them. You put the wool sock over the cotton sock. Since it's on the outer layer, the wool's more likely to get damp and can resist that wetness, where you're trying to protect the cotton and keep it dry, so you put it on the inside. So it's a smart idea to double sock up, but I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to show you an old rugby trick that we used to use. You see, rugby's played in the middle of the winter too. There's no such thing as bad weather in a rugby game, so you have to practice and play in the snow. Now, cleats are really thin and they're not made for that kind of cold weather, so you can really damage your toes and get frostbite if you don't protect them. One of the tricks we used is the double bag trick, and I'll show you it now. What you want to do is start with a grocery bag. You know, you've been keeping these and recycling them, well now you get to use them. This little bag will actually keep your feet waterproof and really warm. So you take these bags, you put it over your sock, and what you want to do is you want to tie the ends along the outside of the foot. You don't want them on the inside or you'll trip over the knots. The knots will run into each other and you'll fall down, which happened all the time in rugby. So you tie them on the outside, and you want to do it kind of above the malleolus if you can do it. That's that big bump of bone. So tie it and we're good to go. Now, if you really need to, you can take a second bag and double bag it. That extra little layer will really help. You tie that on. Now, believe it or not, you can put a shoe right over this and it slides on really easy. See? It just slid right on. One last thing I forgot to mention was you also need to protect your ears and your nose. And these things are great. These little neck things, you can just put them, and you can even put it over your eyes if you need to. This will protect your whole face. I keep one of these as well with my emergency jacket, so I can protect, you know, your nose can go frostbite really quick as well as your ears, especially if you're going out to like look at your car or work on it. You need to cover up. One last thing I forgot to mention is you can spray your boots if they're not proper winter boots. They sell this protective coating you can spray directly on any kind of shoe, and it creates one more water barrier. Every year, bodies are found in the spring thaw. In other words, people wreck their cars on these little roads, and people don't know where they went off the road, and they freeze to death and die. It is very real up here, and it's no joke. So you have to prepare your car for the emergency that if you run off a small road, that you can at least survive a little while and hopefully some help finds you. Now, you got to remember, when you're talking about negative degree weather here, that if your car slides off a road, even if it's, you know, a decently traveled road, if you lose your heat within about 10 to 20 minutes, your car is freezing. In an hour, it's ice cold. So it doesn't take long to be in real trouble real fast. you need to prepare your car. So in the winter, my girlfriend, who lives in Minnesota, convinced me to start prepping my car, and I listened to her, and as I talked to other locals, it's no joke, they all prep their cars. So let me show you what I have. My trunk's a little messy right now, but I have all the stuff I need in here, and I kind of pulled it up so you could see it. The number one thing you need is a good weather-rated sleeping bag. You want something that if you lose heat in your car, you can throw over your entire body and still be okay. So I actually keep this bag right behind the driver's seat, the passenger seat on the floor. So if I were to wreck, I could still reach over and grab the bag, hopefully, and even if I couldn't get out of my seat, I could reach it. I also keep my heavy-duty jacket in the same place. This jacket's winter rated, and of course I keep a hat and gloves inside it, so that really helps out a lot. There are some other things that can get you out of a pinch. My girlfriend's mother gave me this. What it is it is a strip of plastic that you can throw under your tires when you can't get traction. And this thing grips the ground, it grips your tires, and can get you out of some real bad jams. The other thing I found out you had to have was a shovel. And it's horribly useful when you get your tires surrounded by snow to dig it out. So you keep a shovel in here as well. I also have some heat pads. So these things are like hand warmers and foot warmers, and I've got a large pack of them. So if I did have to spend the night or two in a car because it wrecked off the side of a road, you can throw those heat packs inside your sleeping bag and they keep you really warm. Also have some rope and some tarps. If you break your windshield, you could at least rig something up to maybe duct tape some tarp over it so the freezing wind doesn't just cut right into your car. You can also should have some jumper cables just in case. That's pretty standard stuff. A couple other things I forgot is I've got some bags just to put over your hands and feet if you get cold. Very useful. I've got some peanuts. This is if you were to spend multiple days stuck somewhere. You at least have some food, and the can's kind of useful if you want to collect snow. This is kind of really, a little overkill, but I feel more comfortable having some food in the car. And nuts are really good for calorie. They're very dense. Remember, if you're freezing and you're shivering like crazy, you burn massive calories, so you want some very dense food. Lastly, I have an emergency flashlight and a charger. Now this thing is a radio, flashlight, all kinds of little gadgets on here, and you can plug devices in and use the hand crank on the side right here to charge it. So you spin it around and charge it up. Now, you can't really count on batteries in the cold weather, so your flashlight batteries will probably be dead. This is why I put a hand crank in here. At least I can crank it if I need some light and I need to look under the hood or something. It also has a weather radio, pretty useful. I can try to link this or a similar one in the description if you've never seen these before. They're pretty good. Remember that living in icy weather is no joke. You really gotta be prepared. It's serious stuff. So take a little time today and go prep your car. And hopefully I taught you a little bit about how to keep your toes from getting frostbitten too. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. Also give this a thumbs up, a like, a share, or if you have something to add, remember to comment below. Thanks. Also, don't forget to stop by terranlupo.com. I have up videos that you can't see anywhere else. Currently, I have one on carnivorous plants and also how to make your own mead. All you have to do is go over